about the new tendencies and technologies in mold making.
In our business, in thermoforming, it's always about output. So that means how many products per hour can you make. So what is important is how many products can you put in a mold, so how many kettles, and what is the speed. Because if you multiply them together, then you get the output. And how you can improve that is about optimizing cooling of the tool, the use of different materials, so low weight materials but still have enough strength, and also the weight reduction.
And the other question is about optimization. How the mold making, the design of the mold can optimize the production of the final product.
That's a little bit the same, so it's related to output then. So the faster you can run, the more cavitation, the more output you have. We also look in to reduce the amount of scrap rate in the sheet material. So if you can reduce that, so you can utilize more of the sheet, that's also more beneficial, of course, for our customers.
Okay, so thank you.
You're welcome.
The first one is, how do you consider in the design process of the mold the life and the life of the mold? How much
lifetime?
Lifetime of the mold.
Basically, it's to build injection molds. We do that for packaging, cosmetics, for pharmaceutical industries, technical parts, and we have, let me say, a long-term experience. The company was founded 1976, so it exists already 49 years, and we work with customers for more than 40 years, and they have up to 300 molds available, We never know when you build injection molds, and now we have the values from our customers because we work with them such a long time, and the molds do have lifetimes of 20 to 30 years. Actually, we have an alteration of the mold which is already 30 years old.
Yes.
But you can have that values only if you work with companies for such a long time, We deliver the molds in more than 80 countries globally and have 50% export, 50% for Germany. And only based on the values of our customers, we can say the molds have a lifetime of 30 years,
Okay.
And big companies as company Henkel or company Aptar, which have a few hundred molds of us, work with our technology because they know that they can plan their productivity for such a long period,
Yeah.
We have to evaluate each project is prototyping. We build molds normally once and never again. And it's plastic, you have a lot of risks there. Means that, so hopefully it is.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's only, when we test the mold, we have a test department, we only get the impression of the mold. We build it according to our standards and in a high quality, but we only get an impression for 2, maybe 6 or 8 hours. The long-term experience are based on the customer side, our customers. They know how likely the mold is running there.
Okay.
But after this long period of close to 50 years, we have set values now to say, okay, they are running 20, 30 years.
Excuse me, where are the company from?
We are from Germany. And we are located close to Cologne Airport. Not so far from Cologne.
And another question is, how or what softwares do you use on the design of the mold, or did you use internal software or software?
Yeah, we have for sure internal softwares. We have 4 internal constructors or designer, and we work with 4 external offices. Depends then on the workload. How is the project running? Only to understand, the customer needs to define what he wants to have. He only needs to say, okay, Jan, I would like to have this article here. And then we do, we call it turnkey engineering. That means we do everything around the article. And he only needs to say, I want this one. If he didn't have any article data or something like that, we need 3D and article data. Then we send the sample to an external company who is doing a computer tomographic measurement, like in a hospital. Then we will get a network of the article, and we reconstruct the article then based on the confirmed samples. And if it's a new development, then we start with pilot molds. It means we have 35 own pilot molds, our basic molds, and we produce only one stack, only one cavity. And this cavity then will be adjusted in the original raw material of the customer. Makes no sense to use a German material what the customer in Mexico can't get here. But then the customer delivers the material, we adjust everything in the original raw material. He will get 5 or 10,000 samples out of the wet cavity pilot mold. We make a line trail, and if the line trail is successful, then we have 0% risk to finalize, as an example, a 48 cavity mold.
Yeah.
Then the customer again will get out of the 48 cavity mold 20,000 samples, he will test them, and then we can ship them home without any mistake.
Okay.
We assure the whole process, and also in regard to the time difference. Germany is 7 hours upfront to Mexico. We have a German agency. He's German, but he's living in Mexico City for more than 30 years. And if necessary, then we make with the customer teams meetings in the evening. I'm available, and you can call me also at the weekend or after the office hours. I'm also a learned process engineer. I'm not a salesman. I do sales and project engineering since more than 20 years now.
About how much time does it take to design a mold? I mean, from
the start, if we have a pilot mold, that means one cavity plus a series mold, then the pilot, when we can use our basic mold, takes 10 weeks. Then we have to do some adjustment, test trails, etc. But in parallel, we work also as a series mold if the risk is not high. And we finalize that molds up to hardness. That means these strips outside are not installed. All dimensions are steel safe. And then after the pilot is approved, takes about 10 weeks to finalize the series mold.
Okay.
Normal lead time for, let me say, if we did not have a pilot, is about 20 to 22 weeks.
Okay.
Up to the T0, that means initial test run.
And what do you consider is or cause much trouble? I mean, the design making of the mold, or in production, the supply chain or deliveries or some.
No, the highest risk is the article. That means the article. It needs to fit, and we work in microns in the steel, and the functionality must work. This is the highest risk what we have. This is prototyping and plastics. The rest is daily business.
Okay.
Manufacturing is no issue.
Okay. I mean that's.
One of the questions that I want you to ask is about the complexity of the designs for each of the molds that you create. How does you put into work one piece and make it in one mold?
Well, it's going to depend about the complexity of the piece. For example, if you are planning to make a cam like this, you need to know how many strokes that you're going to need, or how many pieces that you need for the project. But in the beginning, for example, if you want to make the box, you need the size of the box, the size of the machine, the consideration of the brand of the machine too, and the life of the frame. You can make a mold or a soft tool to inject maybe 100 pieces, 1,000 pieces, or you need a mold to make medium pieces. That's the first consideration.
Okay, so those go with the daily challenge that the customer faces during the process of injecting the plastic.
If you have a simple mold like a box, the complexity is not too hard. All the cooling system is going to be the most thing that you have to take care of, because you you don't have a good cooling in the mall, the time of the piece is going to be higher. For example, for this box, you have around 15 seconds shot. But if you have a good cooling, it could be 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And the pieces that you are going to make in a day is going to be these pieces of high production. For that kind of molds, that you make 1,000 pieces per hour, the complexity of the system, the cooling, it's determinant to make a high production.
Okay, and that does has to do with the average time for the maintenance of the mold.
Can you repeat that, please?
Of the maintenance of the mold, what is the average time is for you to know that you have to do the certain maintenance of the mold?
You can measure for strokes. You have preventive maintenance, you have predict maintenance, and you have corrective maintenance. When you, for example, for us that we sell the mold, we tell to the client how many strokes or how many pieces you have to you need before you make a maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, but you plan it because those kind of molds work 7 days per week, 24 hours, and then you can put 1 day or half of a day to make a preventive maintenance.
Okay.
And for example, around million pieces, you need a corrective maintenance because the quality of the product is not going to be the same.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.